Let me guess. You're pretty exhausted. All the polarity in our government and politics, fighting with people, strangers on the internet. I have an important question to ask. Do you think it's working? You've been misled if you believe that your problems are stemming from your neighbor's race, religion, political party, or any other identifying factor. That actually just gives the people in power exactly what they want. It feeds the machine that allows a government to keep going on, doing something for only a select few. America is supposed to be the richest country on earth, but more than half of our population is living paycheck to paycheck. What are the big common themes that deceive us? Fear and scarcity. One of the biggest lies we're told in this world is that there's not enough to go around. There's always something new to worry about. This energy of fear keeps us stressed, dysregulated, easily manipulated, which means we often resort to anger and we're easily pitted against our neighbor. If you really, really want things to change, you need to do what might be the hardest thing. If we don't find the tools to unlearn these concepts and find each other in all this mess, we might just actually destroy each other and this beautiful planet we are hurling through space on. Let me guess. You're pretty exhausted about all the polarity in our government and politics, and maybe you've spent the better part of an afternoon or several afternoons or full time click-clacking in the comments section and fighting with people, strangers on the internet, about whatever's going on that you don't like or they don't like. First of all, you might be arguing with a literal bot. Second of all, how's it working for you? I have an important question to ask. Do you think it's working? Do you think that merely talking shit and making snide comments to people online will ever change their mind? If it hasn't so far for you, maybe it's time to reconsider our game plan. The filter of social media keeps us from getting to the heart of the matter and getting down to real, true human connection. Social media algorithms, particularly when it comes to politics, tend to funnel people down rabbit holes. And it often typecasts people into different roles that others presume that they play. If you have a certain opinion about one thing, then somebody will assume you have a certain set of other opinions that they think fall in line with that. By continuing to think and walk about the earth as if your neighbor is your problem in life and in politics, then we might be missing the whole plot. I think that actually just gives the people in power exactly what they want. Every minute you spend clicking away on the keyboard in the comments sections talking shit, every assumption you make about someone based on one political ideology that they hold, every assumption you make about someone's political leanings based on how they look, what they drive, what they wear, every person you've cut ties with because you disagree with their views. Every time we do these things, it feeds the machine that allows a government to keep going on, doing pretty much nothing for everyone and doing something for only a select few. And not only that, propaganda is a real thing. On both sides of the aisle, in all governments, it's very real. And especially in America. The truth is, political parties in and of themselves have very little to do with your overall success or your problems. Yes, real things are happening, and some things may be carried out more by one side than another. But politicians in all political parties engage in some form of corruption. We can't be fooled that even some of the people that we love and vote for, by comparison, are even on our side. We need to be more aware that so much of our politics, left and right, are theater. Outside the halls of Congress, those politicians are actually pretty good friends. They go to lunch together, and some of them feel the same about certain things, but they vote one way or another based on their constituency. It's about political survival. Many of them share the same underlying agendas: war, making the rich richer, always doing favors for big banks, big corporations, wasting your money on unpopular or hyper-propagandized causes that always come at the expense of everyday people, and receiving as much money from PACs and lobbyists as they can in their tenure in Congress or in government. You've been misled if you believe that most of your problems are stemming from your neighbor's race, religion, political party, or any other identifying factor. The problems in your daily life and the obstacles for you to succeed in this country are the fact that America is supposed to be the richest country on earth, but more than half of our population is living paycheck to paycheck. A shocking percentage, about a third of lower income families are food insecure, and about a third of Americans can't afford health care. And even if they can, most people can only afford healthcare that is so shitty that when you actually do need it for something serious, you end up footing the bill anyways and having to declare bankruptcy. What the fuck is that? Money, power, greed, depravity. They don't have a political party. Sorry. To date, those things have just been part of human nature. But we can evolve. We don't need to let the worst parts of us run wild and let that be represented in our government. We, the people, not the government, have the responsibility to erase that. So what are the big common themes that deceive us? Fear and scarcity. One of the biggest lies we're told in this world is that there's not enough to go around. With almost anything that is a need for human beings, that is not the case. We have enough food, we have enough water. The UN voted on a resolution to make food a human right. The US and one other country voted no on that. The only two. Many other countries have taken a stance on hunger and passed laws that force grocery stores and restaurants to not have food waste, meaning they can't throw away food that is still edible. The results have dramatically dropped the rates of hunger in these countries. I think France is one of them. Why haven't we done something like this here in the US? Those are just two small examples. We could have enough food, we could have enough energy, we could have enough water to probably provide those things for free for everyday Americans. Why don't we? Greed. And then there's always something new to worry about. If you watch mainstream media, they're always panicking you with something, whether it's a hack or some disease you're going to get. There's always a new boogeyman out there. There's always a new conflict that we feel the need to insert ourselves in. There's always some new thing we need to buy to solve our problem, whatever the new problem it may be. There's always something being pushed to us to drive a narrative, to push us towards what our government wants, ultimately. We recognize that social media influencers exist, but it doesn't seem as though we understand that the government has influencers too. It seems like we're just programmed for stress and overwhelm. And I don't really think it's an accident. The energy of non-stop news cycles that just keep pushing those same fear, scarcity narratives, what do you think that does to us? It keeps us highly distracted, which therefore keeps us rather compliant because we're too overwhelmed to do anything about it. And it makes us susceptible to manipulation because of the fear by politicians and by the media. Both of these parties have huge conflicts of interest. Politicians, of course, lining their own pockets, and with the mainstream media in particular, they're bought and paid for by the ad dollars that get spent on their network. So certain stories will get buried or will be very, very sugar-coated and padded to keep shareholders, to keep the people spending ad dollars with that company happy. And I'm sorry, that's just how it is. I personally have been pushed to independent media. Even in independent media space, you have to be careful. Some independent media folks are glorified influencers who have no ethics to abide by, and they could be bought and paid for by anyone. If you really want to watch the news, I highly recommend finding an independent news media channel that doesn't do ads, that doesn't accept donations. It would be best if you avoid channels that have two talking heads arguing with each other about this and that from the left and the right, but it's very generic talking points. This energy of fear keeps us stressed, dysregulated, and easily manipulated, which means we often resort to anger and we're easily pitted against our neighbor. So, if you've been viewing politics the same way for a while and nothing seems to change, maybe it's time to do something different. I sure am tired of this. If we don't find the tools to unlearn these concepts and find each other in all this mess, I think we've lost it. With emerging technologies and advanced warfare, these are concepts that we really need to take into consideration. That if we don't really change the way we view things, we might just actually destroy each other and this beautiful planet we are hurling through space on. If you're new to this channel, howdy. My name's Ashley. I'm a life coach, and you'll hear me talk about a lot of topics. It's all geared towards self-improvement. I help people going through big life changes, big shifts in worldview or spirituality, and finding their purpose. I also help people who are neurodiverse or on the spectrum find their flow, find the right career for them, and build a life that better suits them. So if any of that sounds like you, then this is a great channel for you to follow. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and follow along my other social medias. So how do we heal? How do we fix it? I don't know if anyone has the answer, but I'm going to give you my best answers. First of all, we have to regulate ourselves. We have to know when it's time to turn that TV off, put down that phone, and regulate our bodies. You will never be able to have a deeply rational, calm conversation with anyone who you disagree with or engage with anything that is stressful in general and perform well if your nervous system is in fight or flight all the time. I think the fastest way to that is breath. Try taking a deep breath in, all the way in, and then when you exhale, push all the air out of your lungs until you can't anymore. And then hold it for a sec and do it again. And then do it again and again. Maybe do it 10 times, 20 times, however many times you need to do it. That's the fastest way to reset. If you stick with it until your mind goes blank, then it means you probably reached a little bit of a clean slate. Meditation too. All the things that are coming up for you. If you're still mad about the guy that cut you off yesterday, you're wasting energy and you're only hurting yourself. If you're still mad about that guy that said something mean to you in the Facebook comments yesterday, you're only wasting your energy and you're only going to get angrier. We have to learn not to personalize everything, even when it's hard. But the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway I need you to take from this video is that if you really, really want things to change, and if you want to live in a more harmonious society, you need to do what might be the hardest thing, which is having a real conversation with someone who you don't agree with. People aren't going to learn or come together for a better government unless they come together. If you go this way and they go that way, where do you all converge? What occurs there? What changes? Our social media algorithms certainly aren't going to help us do that. Unless you do what I do, which is you kind of try to break your algorithm. You seek out, if you see a video that you're like, I'm probably not going to agree with this viewpoint, or it's, some interviewer who you typically wouldn't agree with, just click on it. Just watch it. If for nothing else than to confuse your algorithm and make it start giving you different things. My poor social media algorithm doesn't know, it knows I'm a guy, but beyond that, it doesn't know if I'm a Democrat or a Republican. Aside from like MMA, it doesn't know what I'm into. It just keeps throwing me everything, so I keep learning about all these cool things. It's great. It's beautiful. Break that algorithm. See the rest of the world. Over the years, doing this has actually helped me gain a much greater perspective for why people feel the way they feel. And it's actually made me a lot more open-minded on different topics. It can help you understand where the opposing side is coming from, even if that's a dark place. But I need you to know that even if it's a dark place, know that that dark place is rooted in fear. And the only thing that can overcome fear is love. Sorry, it's a hard truth, but it's the truth. It's time to start taking responsibility for your algorithm, for your online interactions, and for your in-person ones too. The in-person ones are the most important ones. There's more skin in the game. It's really easy to say, fuck you, to someone in the comments and bounce. That's easy. Anyone can do that. But if you have some courage and you really want to see the world change, try talking to people. Even people who make you slightly uncomfortable to talk to. If the other party is someone who is willing to have a conversation without resorting to outright yelling and just the conversation going nowhere, that's a person that you can connect with. I know some people out there don't seem like they're receptive, but even when you plant small seeds of truth, small offerings, small peace offerings, they can really go a long way. If you're familiar with the Westboro Baptist Church, it's a church in, I think, Kansas, extremely hateful, I would say, extremely anti-LGBT. They protest at people's funerals, just pretty unsavory, to be honest. I think they're pretty pretty universally unliked. And the daughter of the woman who runs the church, Megan Phelps, she left the religion. And the impetus for her leaving her church and breaking away from her hateful beliefs, someone on Twitter just started commenting on her pretty damn hateful posts. Not with hate, not with vitriol, just trying to start a genuine conversation with her about her beliefs. And I think she ignored them at first, but eventually came around to start commenting back to this guy. And they commented back and forth, and soon they were having full-blown discussions. And she deconstructed her own hateful beliefs based on that. There's an important podcast I think you should watch. It's been out there for, I don't know, a few years now at least. I think it was like during the pandemic that it happened. Joe Rogan interviewed a guy named Daryl Davis. He's an R&B musician in the South, and he has personally befriended KKK members, and he has gotten over 200 of them to turn in the hood and leave the lifestyle. I'm sure some of the situations he's gotten himself in before are a little potentially dangerous. Some of these sundown towns don't fuck around. But the point is this. He just sat down with those people and pretended like they weren't a KKK member and just started talking to them. Eventually, a lot of them would just call him and say, you know what, man, I can't do this anymore. I quit. I quit the Klan. Not only is it beautiful of Daryl to have chosen this as his life path, but it's an example we can all live by. That if you can sit with some of the people that are considered the most, I don't know, hateful and rooted in their beliefs, and just say hey and start talking to them about music or whatever, just something else besides that, there is a humanness in all of us that is recognized by most. I'm sure there are some people out there that just can't be reached at this point, but you need to try to have conversations with people that are difficult. You need to try to plant those little seeds of truth, of human connection, because the next time somebody who is rather hateful or views things differently than you sees you, they're going to be like, oh, that's my neighbor, and they're pretty awesome, even if we don't always agree. Our humanity is really the thing that we're trying to get to, and we're at a critical moment. I think we need to define what that means for us and what we want out of it, but it certainly isn't this chaos. So if you're tired of politics and you really want things to change, try being open. Try unplugging from the mainstream media. Try taking responsibility for your algorithm and your online interactions, and start trying to have meaningful conversations with people that you don't always agree with. Every seed you plant in that regard makes your daily life better and makes our lives better as a collective. If we can one day finally see each other on a greater level, we actually can develop a government that does work for us. And I know you're tired, and I know the world is hard right now, but the world is probably going to be a lot harder if we don't get our shit together. Gain perspective by viewing news that you wouldn't usually view. Maybe look at news sources from outside the US. You would be shocked to hear things that are going on in the world or that are going on in the US that you don't hear on the news in the United States. Overcome your fears with awareness. Discerning between fear and awareness is a huge part of this. It's not our government's responsibility, it's our responsibility to do it. Your government is not going to come do it for you. If you want it to improve, we got to do it. And most importantly, love your neighbor. If it seems like they're angry, it's probably because they're afraid. And a lot of us are. But we can help each other out of that and help each other out of our current political messes. You don't have to help them, but it sure as shit would help all of us. Let's bring the power back to the people by truly seeing and hearing each other.